Good morning to you, all of my friends on Facebook. Hope everyone is doing very, very well today. I am doing exceptionally well because I had a fantastic evening last night. Just fixing up my computer here so I can read some of these notes I took. I went to this really cool gathering of spiritual people last night and I learned so much. And so everything that I get to share with you today about my day 2 somato emotional release work even makes more sense now since having Monday night. Good morning. Thank you for joining me. So let's just get right into it. So if you watched yesterday's video, which I suggest you do, you know that I was prepared for something for day 2. Now, this is a class that I'm taking as a craniosacral therapist to advance my own training techniques as a therapist. So it's a class of about 30 people, and we're all partnered into groups of 3, which was perfect. And good morning, I'm glad you're here. And so we're partnered in these groups of 3, and the intention of the day of day 2 is mouth work. And so this beautiful woman comes up to me and she says, she's actually from Denmark. She says, I'm actually not so good at the mouth work. I don't feel very comfortable with it. You seem to know what you're doing. Would you be willing to work with me? And I thought, oh man, I don't want to work with somebody who doesn't know what they're doing. But I just said, you know what? I trust the universe puts everything perfect. I'm open to receiving. I said, yeah, sure, let's work together. And we found someone else to work with us. And so I'm laying on the table. The intention of the day is to release the mouth and the jaw, which is called the avenue of expression in craniosacral therapy. And again, on day 2, we weren't talking to each other. We're just experiencing what's going on in our bodies. So I was able to let my judgment go and work with this beautiful woman. And as soon as they put their hands on me, I got this feeling that they're both so lighthearted and funny and so safe and easy to trust. And I could tell that they both had a lot of experience. Actually, come to find out later, the woman that I was afraid she wouldn't have enough experience, she's been a craniosacral therapist for 13 years. And the Upledger Institute is actually publishing her book. So it's amazing that that's who I attracted to work on me for this. And this story, in my opinion, is just so incredible. I never knew that this kind of a release was going to happen. So, we're having a lot of fun together. We're giggling, and this one therapist is working on my nasal bone. So, right here, there's this little teeny tiny bone, right here, and there's these sutures down here, down the nose, and then right here, this connects. And so, the different techniques are you can pull this way, you can pull this way, you can pull this way. But the one that she was doing was she was holding right here on my nasal bone and trying to release it. And for whatever reason, my nasal bone was just not going to release. The other woman had her hand on my chest, and her whole arm was right down my midline, except she kind of was to the side of where my private area would be. And I was like, listen, this is a little strange to ask, but is there any chance you could move your hand right over on top of my pubic bones? And she's like, yeah, I had the feeling that I should do that, but I thought it was a little awkward. And I was like, yeah, it's a little awkward to ask, but it feels like it's the right thing to do. So she's got her hand down my midline, the other woman's still on my nasal bone. And I have this, my body goes back into this contraction like the day before, where my knees kind of pull up into my chest and my hands kind of do this fisting thing. And I'm kind of like, oh, this grunting noise is coming out of me. And then I'm like, oh, okay, great. That was it, and I'm thinking that's all that needed to happen. No, nothing else needs to happen. Just a little grunt, little groan, and we're good to go. No, the therapists knew, somehow they knew. And this one is just, she's holding this nasal bone and we're going this way and we're going this way. And this nasal bone's oh, and she's just staying with me. It was so cool. And one of them asks me, what was your pregnancy and delivery like? And I said, no, they were terrible. Both of them were just absolutely terrible. And so it's almost like she knew that I needed to have a baby. And I, at that point, I kind of said, it kind of feels like I'm going to have a baby. But that's all that happened. And my legs laid back down on the table. And I thought, okay, cool, we're done. This nasal bone's going to release. We're going to do the mouth work. My mental brain is going come on already, like let's get the show on the road, let's do the protocol already. But these therapists were so in tune. I'm so grateful that they were. So before you know it, more teaching assistants are joining the pod, and my eyes are closed, and I just start feeling all these hands on my body, and I'm thinking like, listen, y'all, it's just a nasal bone. It's not a big deal. Like, let's just release it. And I'm having this like guttural moaning thing is coming out of me, and still my logical brain is like, this is just ridiculous. Can we get on with the protocol? And they all seem to know what's going on, and I don't. And then all of a sudden, I feel a man come in, and he puts his hands in my belly, really, like he pushed really hard into my belly. And there was something about him being there that I was not okay with, and it like triggered this whole thing. And my body contracts all the way up, and I am squeezing, and just like in the video of day one, my fists are squeezing so hard, my face is pulling back so hard, my knees are pulled into my chest, and now they're holding under my legs on both sides. I got somebody deep in my belly, I got this girl in my nasal bone, my pubic symphysis is still being pressurized, and all of a sudden I realize I'm having a baby. And I scream, evidently. I don't remember screaming. I just remember like, ah, groaning, and the baby comes out. So it's so crazy. And the therapist actually says to me, like, is there any chance that your OBGYN was a man and you didn't like the man? And I was like, no. I actually didn't remember anything about that. And I said, no, there were three midwives. And then the second baby, there was a female OBGYN. Like, I don't remember at all. But I'm going to get back to this part of the story in just a moment. So when he put his hands on my belly, it was almost like that was the trigger that sent me into this whole birthing and laboring. Because, hi, Heather, what did you learn about somato emotional release? From the Upledger Institute. So John Upledger created this whole protocol. He found the craniosacral therapy, the rhythm, and then started to notice that the body would respond like this. And what's really interesting is I've been doing this work on my own for 5 years. It's almost like it got channeled through me somehow or downloaded, which is why I got my master's in mental health and my certificate to do hypnosis, because I was doing hands-on work with people and they were having all these emotional experiences. So I said, oh, well, the Upledger Institute actually has a thing, it actually has a label. And so I'm going to go learn from them. And it was great. It was so amazing to experience somebody else's technique that's so similar to mine. And then for me to be able to actually be on the table having this emotional release. So it was so interesting because I was telling the therapist before I had this baby on the table, I said, my first son, Gabriel, it was like a 32-hour labor. And the first 20 hours was natural. And 10 of that was like really intense, hard labor. They had me in the water a lot of the times. And at some point, the midwife said, if we don't take you to the hospital, you're going to die. You've been in hard labor for almost an entire day. And I want to get you an epidural and I want to get this baby out of you. And I was like, and she said, you're not progressing. We need to give you some Pitocin. And I was like, F you, I'm not going. And my husband, Garrett, at the time was like, get in the goddamn car. We're going to the hospital. And he never cursed ever. So I had 6 more hours of epidural. I still had the pain through the epidural. I did 4 hours of pushing. And some man that I've never met before comes in and says, that's it, you're done laboring, you're not allowed to push anymore, I'm taking the baby via C-section, cut the baby out. And it's a really hard thing to talk about. When that baby was born, I didn't feel like emotionally connected to my baby. I never understood why. And the first 3 months that he was born, I don't know if we bonded the way that like a mother and child should bond. And I didn't realize anywhere between the day when he was born and now 13 years later that bonding experience was taken away from me. And I feel like it's a really important message after what I experienced with the somato emotional release and having the baby, having the birth, because even Jack was born VBAC. They pulled him out with a suction cup thing or whatever, and my body ripped into a million pieces, and he had respiratory distress, and they took him away also. So here I am having this experience. I'm like, I'm pushing the baby out. And then right at the end of pushing the baby out, my heart has this amazing opening, this like love like I've never experienced in my life. This love that was like this joy and giggles and laughter is washing through me. And I'm like so happy that I had a baby. I can feel it now. And it's like this really beautiful, amazing joy. And I'm like, where's my baby? And I just want to hold my baby. And then I realized there's no baby. Like this didn't happen. So the joy and the love was real. Like you can see, it's really, really real. And I guess that there's when you have a baby, there's this dump of, I mean, I've heard of it logically. We've all heard of it. There's this dump of emotions that supposedly happens that makes you forget about your labor and delivery and all that. I never had that. Because I had a cesarean section. I had 32 hours of laboring, and I didn't get to have a baby. It's really sad. And I didn't realize the depth of the grief. I didn't realize the depth of the sorrow of not being able to complete the birthing process, of having 32 hours of labor and then having my baby cut out of me, and then not having that joy and love and being able to bond with my baby the way that I make up nature intended. And I just think about all the babies that have been born without their mommies getting to experience that. It makes me really sad. And that bonding that happens is such a natural thing. Like all of this love came out of me. And there was nothing I wanted more in the world than to hold my baby. I was in West Palm Beach. We didn't get out till like 8 o'clock at night, and I like almost drove all the way down to Cooper City just to give my son a hug. And I said, no, it's okay. I can hug him later. But something's shifted. Something really, really profound has shifted inside of me. And I cried for like 24 hours after that experience, and I got to actually feel all of that sorrow and all of that grief. And I've been having this pain in my ribs, which I know is grief and sorrow. And I was like, I have nothing, but no, I've never lost anyone. Like, I've processed my marriage, my divorce. I know I've grieved over that. Like I couldn't figure out what it could possibly be. And then when I had the baby and I had this deep, deep, like understanding that this joy and love, I had missed out on it. There's a part of me that wants to say it was taken from me because I didn't want that C-section. And there was a part of me that experienced it as an abortion, almost like somebody took my baby, which I know like rationally doesn't make any sense, but there's like some emotional process going on in my body about that feeling of the baby being taken, and not being able to go through that natural process. So anyway, just so many emotions, with all of that. It was amazing to feel that giggling, that love, that warmth, and like, where's my baby? And just wanting to hold my baby on my chest so badly. And then the grief that came knowing that I didn't get that experience. And then even with my second son, as soon as they took him out of me, I remember having that feeling. And then they took him to the NICU because he had respiratory distress. So I actually never got to hold either of my babies when they were born. Makes me really sad. So what was really cool was last night I had this experience of this like spiritual group, and we were talking about dichotomy, polarity. And she was saying, stay focused on what you want, stay focused on the good stuff. And I said, but I just had this experience where I experienced all this sorrow and grief. And she said, you want to know the fastest way to get to enlightenment? Go down the tunnel this way. Go down the tunnel and know all of your negative emotions, the pain, the suffering, go all the way into it. Because as soon as you know this, you know the contrast of this. And it's so true. I feel like I experienced that sorrow and that grief so big, but like the joy and the laughter and the humor and everything that's possible today, because I was able to, now I know that sorrow and that grief, like the love is so much bigger and so much deeper. And it's so beautiful because tomorrow's SER that happens has everything to do with my judgment and this feeling that I'm annoying and like really deeply experiencing myself as being an annoying human being. And you know, that's this side that's going into that depth of like self-hatred, and then being able to come out the other side and realize just how silly the whole thing is. And but that's all for tomorrow. We're going to share that tomorrow. I don't want to get into it now. So you know, I feel this incredible relief in my body now. I mean, I cried, like I said, for like 20 hours afterwards. And I feel like there's a message, you know, for me to share now with the world. Like, if you can prevent having a cesarean section, prevent it. Do not choose it. Do not make it an option. Like, let your body do the natural process. Like, I didn't realize why it was so important, but I mean, I didn't bond with my baby for probably 3 months. He came out C-section. I didn't have that feeling of love and connection. He ended up having reflux, colic, a milk allergy, and a thrush infection, which meant basically 4 months of a screaming baby. Can you imagine doing 4 months of a screaming baby without being bonded? It was hard, and I have a lot of like guilt. Another interesting thing, so I have all of this like mothering guilt that I didn't even know I had till this big release, and I realized, oh my god, I've been like over pampering and over spoiling my kids because of this subconscious guilt that I've been carrying since the birth of my first child. It was like, oh my god, like that gets to be done with. Like, I get to handle my guilt, and I get to just love the shit out of my kids, and I get to parent them from that love. And they don't get to have everything they want because I have some unresolved guilt because I didn't get to bond with him for the first 3 months that he was born. I remember the moment that I bonded with him. He was like 3 months old. He looked up at me and he saw me. You know that moment when like your baby sees you? He saw me and he took this deep breath in with a giggle and was like, ah! And I'll never forget it. And I totally fell in love with him in that moment. And of course, from then on, you know, they're just both the love of my life. You know, they're just both so amazing. But I didn't even realize there was this like unconscious guilt that I was carrying, and this unconscious sorrow and grief that was actually getting in the way of me loving my kids all the way. And so, you know, when you think about our culture and the entitlement that's going on and all the C-sections that are going on, like I can't help but correlate those things together. And you know, this life we're living right now seems so disconnected. Mothers aren't experiencing that full body expression, that full, you know, it was so interesting. So I've got she's holding my nasal bone, and the other woman's hand is literally on my pelvic bone. And there's like, and my heart is opening, and there's something, you know, like I'm learning through Tantra, if I'm breathing through my heart chakra, my vagina is opening. You know, I'm connecting with my partner through my heart. His penis is growing. You know, these parts are so intimately connected. So of course, in a birthing process, I mean, the vagina is opening. Of course, the heart is opening, and like more than any other time in your whole entire life. Why would you skip that? Like, I didn't want to skip it. I'm still a little mad. I guess I have some anger I get to still process about it. But like, I want for people to know how beautiful the love is, the expression of love is that you can have when you have a baby. And you know what's really cool about this work, in the work that Upledger does, and some of the books that I've read that he's written, women who are menopausal, so they're post the ability to have babies, their bodies sometimes have these emotional releases where they actually experience having a baby. Or women who have had abortions or miscarriages or things like that are able to experience, the body is still holding these experiences and wants to have them. You can actually have them on the table with a really well-trained craniosacral therapist who does somato-emotional release. Like, it's possible for your body to continue to be able to experience these things that maybe you didn't think that you would ever be able to experience. So, if you're a woman who's in menopause and you've never had a baby and you're listening to me going, oh my God, I have so much grief because I never had a baby, you actually have the opportunity to experience that with a really well-trained craniosacral therapist if you're up for it, if you're ready for it. Obviously, I was ready for it. Day one had me prepared, in the position, the birthing position. I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what all that fear was. Now I know, I have a better understanding of why 13 years ago I wasn't able to actually have the baby come out. It was because of all that fear that I was holding in my body. So, like, get rid of all that crap before you have your babies. Like, it's so amazing. The healing opportunities are so amazing. Our bodies are so wise. There's an inner wisdom that we can tap into that's beyond our knowing. It's beyond, if you had asked me if I was going to have a somato-emotional release about the birth of my babies, I would say no, never. Why? That wasn't traumatic. Like, okay, maybe it was physically traumatic, and maybe I have some like fascia that needs to be released, but I never knew that there was all this emotional stuff holding in my body about not being able to have the baby come through in a natural way, have my heart open the way that it really wanted to open, have that connection happen between my heart and my baby. I missed it for 13 years. Like, that's sad, and it's not too late. So I love this healing work. It's incredible. I remember when I first took the parenting class that I now teach, and I learned like how to be connected to my kids, and they were like 6 and 4, and I thought, oh God, it's too late. They're 6 and 4. I already missed out on the most important part. But like, it's never too late. My mom started healing herself when I was like 36 years old, and we have this awesome relationship now, and like 36 wasn't too late. Like, it's never too late to heal your relationships with your kids. Anyway, so I think this work is amazing, profound work. If you want to get some work, please come see me. It's an honor. I had a client come right before I left for California. She came in and she's like, I'm ready to do the work. And I'm like, have you watched all my videos? Like, she trusted me like so much. And she's like, no, I've never even seen your videos. She was like, her inner wisdom and my inner wisdom were just like, zzz, they were like ready. And she laid down, and I mean, we found a rape that happened that she never ever told anybody about. Some molestation came to the surface that she'd never even consciously known about until the session. She started to realize her like diverticulitis, she had her whatever that thing is removed, like all of these issues in the guts, and that's where she was holding all of this like sexual abuse. And it was our first session. Like, talk about, like, hi, my name's Heather. Nice to meet you. Oh, by the way, I was raped and I've never told anyone before. I'm going to tell you. Like, it's amazing. This work is so amazing. And I'm so honored and grateful. I'm so honored and so grateful to be able to do this work. I feel like, how did I get so lucky? That's what it feels like. So, oh my God, I'm so emotional today. Yeah, I think that's everything. Does anybody have any questions? Like, is it all making sense? I don't know who's still with me. It looks like there's a couple people are still with me, but I guess what I want to say really is your brain doesn't know what the F is going on. Like, it just doesn't know. But your body knows. Your subconscious knows, and it expresses itself through your body. And if you're looking for enlightenment, like, do the work, because I feel lighter and deeper, and so I can't wait to tell you about tomorrow. Day 3 is like, I don't know when I'm going to get to tell you about day 3 because I actually have a client tomorrow during this time. So it'll probably have to be in the afternoon. So if you're wanting to watch, just make sure that you're looking at my little notifications because I'll let you know what time I'm going to do it, but it'll probably be in the afternoon. But like tomorrow is like the culmination. Tomorrow is like the integration of all of this work, and just really like getting to the point where I actually step into my divinity. And it's really cool. I can't wait to share it with you guys. Like if I could do this work every single day, I would. I mean, I do. But I mean, like having 2 therapists work on me every single day, like it's incredible. And what's really fun is that Mike took craniosacral 1, and he's actually becoming a licensed massage therapist. So because he wants to do the somato emotional release and the craniosacral therapy along with the Alexander technique. So it's gonna, I have like, we literally can heal each other in our home all the time. It's pretty fun, and we can both put our hands on the kids. We'll see what happens when that all starts happening. But anyway, if you want a session, reach out to me. I'm honored and blessed, and it's not me, it's your higher self. And if you're ready to tap into that, like, let's do it. I'm here about creating higher consciousness of the planet, expanding ourselves, like stepping into, I used to say stepping into your purpose, but the reality is you're already purposeful. You're already exactly who you need to be. Already. The only thing that's blocking you is the stupid thoughts in your head that are not serving you. And this work is showing you how you got all those blocks, and then you remove the blocks, and then your mind is clear, and you realize, holy crap, I am this absolutely divine human being, a divine incarnation. I don't even know what to call it, but like there's no separation. There's no separation. And the more you do the work, the more you realize, like, you're already there. You're there. There's nothing to do. So anyway, I'm getting a little bit on the I don't know, preachy maybe. I don't want to be preachy. I just want to keep living it, and I want you to live it too. So if you're ready, let's do it. Okay. So you guys have an awesome day, and I will be telling you about day 3 tomorrow. All right. Y'all have a great afternoon. Thanks for joining me.